Hey guys, first Regardsman here, and so I'll be talking about a Power Sword Assault build for Space Marine 2 Patch 12. Now, all the balanced weapons in Patch 12 got a base damage buff of around 15%. The balanced Power Sword is actually pretty damn good now on all variants, including the Xenophase Blade, but today I'm taking the 18 Strength, 5 plus Speed, 12 Cleaving Potential version over the other options here, mainly because I just want to go for like full damage. Now, unfortunately, not much has changed for the Power Sword perk tree in Space Marine 2 in like a year now, so we do start off with Armor Strength once again. If you have armor remaining, melee damage increases by 10%. Moving here into the perk Master of Offense. After you switch sword combat style, you deal 20% more melee damage for 5 seconds. The cooldown is 10 seconds. Now, the way you usually switch your sword combat style in this game is you will do it out of a dash attack into a lunging attack anyways, which can immediately go into a power rake, so really easy to have a nice 20% melee damage buff for your heaviest hitting attack here. Next perk here is Perpetual Strength, and Perpetual Strength again for a 10% melee damage increase. Then I pick up the perk Tranquility for no knockback during power roll stance. Into the perk here, Melee Onslaught for another 10% melee damage buff. Then I grab the perk Hard Target for 15% less range damage during a light combo. This is actually pretty good on the balance variants. They're a bit faster than say the block version is, so you do actually pull this off a little bit more easily. And the next perk here is of course Cutting Edge to give 50% more melee damage to our Power Rake, because Power Rake is by far the most important part of the Power Sword in general. It's like the only top tier attack on this weapon besides the power roll stance, so definitely pick this up. And the final perks are as usual, with the perk here Extremis Slayer into the perk Majora Slayer into Terminus Slayer, and then you can either pick up the perk here Speed Restoration or Power Restoration for double CHP recovery in the respective stance. And that's pretty much all there is for the Power Sword tree. Now for the secondary weapon, I do take the Relic Tier Heavy Bolt Pistol with the Ammo Reserve option, mainly because this class does have some serious ammo economy issues. This one helps out a ton, and also I hate fighting Zoanthropes and Neurothropes with a Plasma Pistol, but if you are fighting Chaos, I would suggest either this gun or the Inferno Pistol even, because they're both pretty damn good at the moment. Now, for the perk tree on this gun, I do pick up the perk Divine Might first, moving here to the perk Perpetual Penetration. Each shot penetrates one additional target. This perk hardly matters at all, but I just pick this one up to go into the next perk here, which is Increased Capacity. Then I pick up the perk here, Extended Magazine, into the perk Death Strike. After killing a Majoris or higher enemy in melee combat, you will deal 25% more damage for 10 seconds. This will also trigger off a melee finisher on just a melee kill, and a 25% damage buff for 10 seconds is pretty damn good in this game. And usually, if you swap off your gun for any reason, you will lose the effect, but on an assault class, you don't have a primary gun, so it doesn't matter at all. So this one's pretty much up every single time you get an execute, so great synergy there. Next perk here is Great Might, into the perk here Strong Start. First round of magazine deals 25% more damage, then I pick up the perk Able Damage. After using a class ability, damage increases by 20% for 10 seconds. The Assault will be using the jump pack all the time on like pretty much every single build he has. Doesn't matter if you're using Zealous Blow or Wings of Flame, you will pretty much trigger Able Damage all the time, so definitely pick this perk up. Next perk here is Home Precision, up here into the perk Gunstrike Reload for instantaneous reload on a gunstrike. And the final perk here is Tactical Precision for headshots dealing 20% more damage and non-headshot damage decreasing by 10%. Headshot damage is pretty much all that matters in Space Marine 2 still, and on this build I am picking up both Auxiliary Arsenal for another 20% damage buff, and the perk down here, Practice Aim, for another 15% buff for a total of 35%, so more damage is more damage. This also helps out our headshots, and that's pretty much all there is for the secondary weapon. Now for the Assault perk tree, I do start off with the perk Overcharge once again. Damage from held and charged melee attacks increases by 25%. This is a 25% multiplicative melee damage buff to your heaviest hitting attacks on like pretty much every weapon. If you're trying to go for max damage, you just pick this one up because other options just don't give you remotely as much. Though I will say a safer option here is Armor Reinforcement, because non-finisher gunstrikes destroying one armor segment will save you a ton of HP, especially since I'm not taking the perk here Defense Mechanism on this build, but I'm picking them both up today with Overcharge and Auxiliary Arsenal, mainly because I'm trying to max out damage. And speaking of maxing out damage, this brings us to Auxiliary Arsenal. This gives us a secondary weapon damage increase of 20%, and this combined with the perk down here, like I mentioned previously, will give us a 35% secondary damage increase. That is pretty substantial. You definitely feel this one in game versus Zoanthropes and stuff like that, which is why I do like to pick it up. Though I will say Defense Mechanism and Consecutive Execution are both amazing perks, and Consecutive Execution is probably the best overall. Next perk here is Knowledge of the Enemy. Melee damage increases by 15% against Majoris or Extremis level enemies. This is just a nice little melee damage buff. You could take Active Attrition or even Perseverance if you want. None of these perks are bad. This one's just the best flat damage non-conditional bonus. Next perk here, Strategic Strikes. All team members deal 20% more melee damage against Extremis and Terminus level enemies. And this is once again just a nice little melee damage buff. You could alternatively take Proven Efficiency, but usually if you're playing like Balanced or Block, I would suggest this because they benefit a lot more because their base damage is higher for this benefit. Next perk here is Furious Strikes. Hitting an enemy with an attack after a jump pack dash, force jump pack's ability charged by 1. The cooldown is 10 seconds. This is probably just the best assault perk ever added to this game because pretty much you just have a free gap close off of this. You can also go jump pack positive if you combine this perk with the perk down here, Commitment. This one reads a perfect time dodge using a jump pack dash for jump pack's ability charge, and because of that, you can basically get a free dodge off of this and then immediately go into a jump pack dash attack and trigger this perk, and now you're effectively up a free jump pack, which is pretty damn powerful. The next perk here is Wings of Flame, a jump pack dash that damages enemies on trajectory and always works as a perfect dodge when dodging an attack. This basically just gives you a perfect dodge window across the entire trajectory of your jump pack dash. That is a very powerful effect on its own. Also, the damage here is quite substantial, so really good for enabling this perk combo, which is why you pretty much always pick it up these days. This really is like the Age of Fire and Space Marine 2, you know, shout out Dark Souls fans, where Wings of Flame has just kind of overtaken Zealous Blow for the most part. Next perk here is Aerial Grace. After your perfect time dodge using a jump pack dash, you will deal 30% more damage for 10 seconds. This is just a free damage buff for triggering your jump pack dash ability all the time, and you pretty much always do this now in the assault class, so a really good synergy there. Though alternatively, you could pick up Pride and Duty, because this will just give you a 25% ground pound damage buff for a finisher, which also happens pretty regularly. That's pretty much all there is for the main perk tree. Now for the prestige perks, I do take Unyielding Oath first. Once again, when charging a ground pound, you become invulnerable for 3 seconds. This just gives you enormous utility in this game. You can go right through a Zoanthrope Beam, a Neurothrope Wave, or like Missile Cannon Terminators and stuff like that. You can also pick up Duelist if you want. Adrenaline Boost these days has kind of been like completely power crept by the perk Hammer of Wrath we'll get into in a second, but for now, I would pick between these two options. Next perk here is Fortitude. Health increases by 15%. Health increases in Space Marine 2 are just a top tier effect wherever you can find them, so you pretty much always grab this one on any build. And the final perk I grab in this row is Practice Aim. Range damage increases by 15% for the reasons I previously mentioned. And then we pick up the final perk, Hammer of Wrath. After using your jump pack, you take 30% less range damage and don't lose control of heavy hits and cannot be knocked back for 15 seconds. This is just free no knockback for using your jump pack dash, which you do all the damn time on every single assault build in the game, and you also get a free 30% range damage reduction, which will not only affect your HP but also your armor, so really top tier perk effect all around. This used to be in the gear tree here where Furious Strikes is, but they basically added this perk and moved this to the prestige perk tree, and now it's just the best perk or one of the best perks in the entire tree here, so pretty much always pick this up just like Fortitude. And that is pretty much all there is for this build, guys. The Power Sword is a classic weapon in Space Marine 2, a classic weapon in 40k, and these days it is definitely a lot better than it used to be. I do think there's like a couple tweaks they could do to this one to make it a bit better, like up the light attack damage and stuff like that, but for now I think it's in an okay spot, maybe one of the weaker options as far as like melee weapons are concerned, but really all the weapons in Space Marine 2 are a significantly better spot than they used to be in this game anyways. That's not saying too much, and hopefully this build guide helped you, and if you like content like this, subscribe for more. And as always, thank you for watching. If you want to come and catch me live to ask me questions about the game, you can find me here on YouTube or on Twitch with a link in the video description alongside a link to my community Discord.
Stand in victory against this foul tyranny.
Right, finally.
Balance of the cooling rod array are cloaked.
Shockmates in this portion is very nice. Oh, I know where it's hiding. Let's be in the one corner. Yeah, I was wrong about the Heroic Axe skin. I thought it was Dante's, but it's the Sanguinary Guard skin, which is slightly different. Yeah, it's the Carmine one. So, like, We're probably going to get a great value brand perdition pistol as well in the future, or like maybe we might even get like a bolt carbine skin for the secondary. I don't know, you know, secondary guard are cool. It makes sense they want to add more of that in. You know, how much would you guys want a two-handed great like power axe in this game? I think that'd be cool as fuck.
Access granted to the bridge console.
Yeah, they gave us an Carmine axe though, which is cool. Does the swords last? Hold on, when I'm not getting bogged by these guys. Or mobbed. I'm bogged. I mean, on that too, they look pretty cool. But
Order returns very soon. The Xenos infestation is stemming. Avenging angels smooth.
the guy who asked, does the sword's last perk, speed style or power style health recovery, work on heavy attacks too, so you don't have to do the heavies on the attack you unlock the perk on? That's a very niche question. I've never tested that myself. I'd imagine it would, but yeah, this game is weird like that sometimes. It definitely works in the light attacks. I'm also always taking on power style because usually where you lose your CHP in this game, where a melee weapon's gonna make a big difference, is against hordes anyways, of like Minoris and stuff like that. And that's where you get the most back. I mean, the power style here is very good at killing Minoris, especially Formagants, but also the Thangors a bit when they're not shielded. You want a single-handed Thunderhammer for the Bulwark so you can still carry his shield. I feel like that'd be an easy thing to implement in the game, but what do I know? An angelic wrist-mounted bolter would be nice. I feel like whatever they add as a weapon in this game, outside of like some class-specific stuff, they add like a post-launch class will be for general class use. Like the only like really class, like the only melee weapon in the entire game right now that's only available on one class in the entire game is the Omniscient Axe, I'm pretty sure. That weapon would also suck ass on every class but Tech Marine anyways, so well, that shocked me did that. Where the fuck did he go? Ugh. I thought I was gonna get it there. Hey, how does a full plasma build Tech Marine do? Not amazingly. Plasma's not very good on Tech Marine. The plasma pistol is, but like the plasma incinerator is probably his worst weapon right now. It's because he doesn't really have the perks that boost up the damage like the tactical does. Like, it's definitely usable. He still has long range barrage, which will help, but it's not remotely as good as the other one. He also doesn't have any ammo economy perks. They also kind of nerfed the plasma incinerator way back when, and like nobody noticed because they hardly ever read the perk trees in this game. But they removed one of the charge rate speed perks from it way back in like patch 7 or something, which made it significantly worse. The loss of 15% charge rate speed perk, which ain't good. So a full Plasma Tactical is good. I mean, it's also not incredible there. Plasma Incinerator is just not a very strong gun in the game right now. I would say the best plasma gun in the game at the moment is probably the rate of fire plasma pistol. The base plasma incinerator definitely needs a buff at the moment. It's all usable, but definitely not amazing.
The armory provides. We are the exterminators.
I mean, you're honestly better off just like building a better weapon on the primary on tactical and taking plasma boost for just your pistol, because your pistol actually has a higher DPS than your main weapon does. Which is pretty funny. Okay, this is actually getting fucking annoying. I hate this portion by myself. Not the heroic heavy plasma. The heroic heavy plasma is good, but it's not as good as a rate of fire plasma pistol that can kind of just like go on. So the thing is, with like the rate of fire plasma, you can parry an enemy for the 50% parry damage bonus, and then put an Auspex down, and your charge rate is so fast with versatility, and obviously you're with versatility and plasma boost and an Auspex down. You will do so much fucking damage to them so quickly. Like, it's one of the best burst damages in the entire game. It's actually like one of the ways to deal free boss damage, especially against Hellburst, if you stagger them a single time.
This cruiser will soon perform its final task. Proceed to the decks below and force the plasma reactors to overheat. The reactor is below us.
The heavy plasma's good, but like, yeah, like just you gotta look at the class. You know, heavy is not as strong of a class as tactical right now, anyways.
Into the breach once more.
I was shocked how good the pyro cannon is for little guys, and even the heavies. Does the smaller primary work as well as his big brother? I mean, the smaller one's way better than his big brother is because it's on tack. Pyro Blaster is a way better gun. The pyro cannon.
But we have heard nothing from our brother.
Understood.
Love your content. What's the best weapon for heavy? I think the heroic heavy vulture and multi-melta slash heavy plasma are the best at the moment. I think the heroic heavy vulture is probably the single best. Depends. Heroic heavy plasma is also really good. Whatever you're doing, you know. Perfect content. Like, the heroic heavy vulture doesn't have the highest DPS potential in the game, but it does have.
Jump pack review. An angel of death. Another alien falls to the weary.
A fair and balanced ability.
We have fled the Xenos state. The Xenos infestation is steady. I am righteous sword.
When people say assault isn't fun, it's true. The Carnifex is honestly like the #1 premier victim of the Wings of Flame. Because like when he goes in rage, he starts to swing wildly, which just means you do more and more damage. And like usually there's two or four Tyranid warriors around him as well. It's like they're all swinging like their whips and shit like that. There's not really much they can do to you except die.
Take heed. Link to this. Avenging aim at your disposal. We eliminated the shrouded menace. Reloading magazine.
Assault's your favorite. You're addicted to the jetpack movements. Assault is probably the most entertaining class in the game this patch. I think it is hard to deny.
And Octavio is pinned down. You must destabilize the plasma reactor. Our brothers from Phaedrus and
It's your go-to sniper primary for fun. Probably the Hurl Bolt sniper.
We have reached the plasma reactor units.
That one's pretty damn fun.
Servitors performed their programmed duties until they were cut down.
Attention.
Where are...
Personnel only beyond this point.
I mean, I guess I'll take that. It's actually better than this.
Ocular scan authorization in order to proceed. Security protocols dictate that only claimed principal servitors have entry authorization.
Locate the leader servitor so we may scan the eyes.
Servitors, we have one last task for you.
You love the Stalker Bolt Rifle, but it's too ammo hungry for your taste. I don't think anything on Sniper is ammo hungry versus Top Precision besides the Heroic Bolt Sniper, funnily enough. Where is this guy? Right. My god.
One last act of service.
Hope the devs improve loadout quality of life. They said that perk loadouts are coming next patch, but like how good they actually are. They need to be, they said they're going to have the loadouts be for weapon types as well, so hopefully that means, that doesn't just mean they're going to swap your weapon perks between the loadouts. It also means that in-game you can swap your perk loadouts, because that's the real issue. That would be the #1 quality of life feature that they need to add for Siege mode, in my opinion. Alright, there we go. Is there a way to conserve last sniper ammo that I'm missing? I really take it because it's hard to conserve even the perk of regen one shot if you penetrate a few. I mean, you just take versatile precision in your prestige perk tree, and then every trigger of that will give you a percentage back. So if you take an ammo version or you take more ammo perks, you're getting a higher percentage back. Like you hit breakpoints for like 1-2 shots back per trigger because it is a percentage restoration. That's the #1 way to save your ammo on that gun. Last Fusil's not very ammo efficient at all, even the rate of fire version. And there's obviously the free recon perk on top of all that.
Another alien. We are the exterminators. Brothers, together we go. Finish your firepower.
Back-to-back streams, I know. Well, actually, yesterday we had back-to-back,
That reactor must
now
be
2 back
destroyed.
streams.
Honor as is ours. Honor our chapter.
Jump back with you.
Here it comes, brothers.
Rolling shot. Avenging aim.
It rains energy spikes upon us. Keep your eyes up. Beware its grasp. Here it comes, brothers.
I'm airborne with it. Take flight and let terror.
Keep your eyes up.
Jump back with you.
We killed one prime, and its companion's fury magnifies. Perhaps one prime is twice as vicious as two.
They sully this ship no more.
Kelbor's how goes the dead game FCG. It's just, dude,
Console to cripple the reactor.
playing in a graveyard every day is truly an experience.
Stabilizer stop. Prepare for rapid egress. Be advised. The gyroscope
Playing in a graveyard.
prevents catastrophic plasma dispersal. Plasma cores are now exposed.
Like, the only class left is the Necromancer build, really.
Reactor critical to Lhasa. Disengage. Please be our guide. Lhasa, we're tracking your signatures. Octavio and Perizolino are already on board. Our brothers prevail. Core integrity at 50% functionality.
There we go. Will patch 13 be released sometime this month? It should be. It's gonna be June at the latest, but I would expect late May.
Deliverance ahead, brothers.
Hurry! The cruiser has begun breaking apart. We will wait as long as we can. Reactor overheat.
Make haste.
10% of core integrity reduced. If not for your valor to land.
I think we're all in our tinfoil hats to say end of this month for Skulls. I mean, that makes sense. They've only ever released it in May. So, I'd be shocked if it wasn't May again. Right, peak.